historically, as a child growing up, you would hear on the radio about Admiral's travel, and, they will be inviting tourists from all over the world to come to Trinidad. And, you ask anybody in Port of Spain or San Fernando, hey, let's go for a weekend somewhere. It's either they talk Tobago or they head Mayaro. Probably to a less extent Moruga, and perhaps somewhere in Toco for those who like, the gliding and surfing and so on. So, I'm hearing of all these sites that you are focusing on these community training and so on. And when you look at the type of infrastructure, and I'm just amazed that, historically over the last 20 odd years, Mayaro has not been a focus, and we have 17 miles of beachfront, 5 open beach spaces that's available for development for safe bathing zones. We have the swamp, you have your ecotourism, we have, and yet you tell somebody, look, we're going for a weekend somewhere, get a house in Mayaro. Easter weekend, if you try to find a room in Mayaro for any weekend from now until Christmas, you're not going to get any. But yet the infrastructure, if we are serious, we in low energy pricing environment, we have a depletion of our foreign exchange, and yet, some places that has the historical significance. I remember reading one of the books done by the gentleman who was involved with Admiral's travels. He sold this story about Mayaro being the gateway to Atlantis. That beach, you wake up on that eastern side of the island and the sun takes you at 5:45 in the morning. You have this experience. And we are not selling our stories. We have, as I said, 16 sites. We found that warm saltwater lake up in Pool Valley since 2017. And it's probably one or you can't find that anywhere else in the Caribbean. But yet, nothing seems to be done from that domestic market. And I'm hearing everything about the international market for TTL that you're focusing on. But I'm wondering, why is there, if you say it started, but I think it's a bit slow because it's a market that people have money. We have every Sunday, you look at the Sunday Express and you look at cash balances in the commercial banks. There's liquidity in excess of $6 to $9 billion. And if we're not creating spaces for people to take that money out of the banking system and get it into Mayaro and Moruga and Toco and get it into the beach houses and all the auxiliary services for our local domestic market, we can't have the multiplier effect of that money circulating. So, so I've reviewed quite a bit of the questions, the documentation that you sent. I see the importance of the job that you have to do. It's not an easy task. The country is looking at tourism as a bailout for us in terms of our economic space. So perhaps in your conversation at the state level, at the cabinet level, at the investment level, perhaps you ought to be asking for more. And if you tell us what are those challenges in getting more, when we put our report together, we can make a solid case for you with the hope that focusing on the domestic side as well, we can really deliver on the commitment of churning the local economies in these communities, getting these facilities going, putting our young people to work. And I'll tell you this, Mayaro has a unique feature in terms of financing. Because unlike other areas, Toco, Moruga, which have small beaches, we have long expanse, but we have 2 financing agencies outside of the commercial bank. You have MyPed, you have the credit unions, both capitalize hundreds of millions of dollars, are just waiting for young people to get their SMEs going. And I'm saying if TTL or the ministry can focus a little more in getting these ideas outside there, getting the infrastructure going, and encourage our young people to get involved in the business, I think we can start solving some of that problems in terms of unemployment, getting our youth focused back in business. And I think you have a huge task. It's a Herculean task, but I don't think it's impossible. So just from reading the documentation, I didn't see that part of that domestic tourism drive. And hopefully going forward, it's something that you could probably tell us where we're heading in those areas and what are your challenges so we can put it appropriately in our report going forward back to the minister and the ministry at the end of the day.